After attacks on Charlie Hebdo journalists and artists, we see a rise of Islamophobia in Europe. Based on understanding that the killing on faith is absolutely prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wrong things is crime. So, what would you like to say to protect Islam? And is it really need to be protected? And you will organize some event, yes, against Islamophobia.
Yeah, true.
There are events, and we're
Yeah.
going to participate as citizens, not as a move as organization.
Yeah.
We're not leading it, but
I think
as a
one of the
citizen.
things we do is through our website and Facebook and possibilities to speak out, to promote to promote the possibility to understand what is going on in other people's minds, and to try because it's difficult, of course, if you don't really understand what the other person wants or why he sees it differently than you, but still try to accept that there is a difference in opinions, and that this difference might exist. It's not wrong that there are many differences in opinions. It's going wrong when violence is coming out of it, of these differences. I think that's a bit our position, that we, of course, we promote as many differences as there are individuals, because it's the individual, your personal development leads you to have some philosophical, religious, maybe anthroposophical views on life and behavior, and it's good that this exists, that you try to reflect and to make up your own mind, but it goes wrong when you believe that your own opinion is better than the one of the other, and that it gives you a reason to harm the other. That's where the non-violence goes into the violence, and that's where we try to prevent that from happening, to promote the respectful understanding of each other, of each individual, and that but of course we also understand that it's difficult because it's emotions, and like for instance the cartoons, of course they provoke emotions, they provoke emotional reactions. It's also the intention of a cartoon to provoke something. That's the method you use. So then it's of course, people have to try to talk about it, to explain, to try to see it in different perspectives. I think dialogue or talking or reflecting is the only way to deal with this explosion of Islamophobia, xenophobia, being afraid of what is different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we did from the beginning of Pax Christi is building bridges between different groups, starting from French people and German people during the Second World War, trying to overcome the hatred. And I think that's exactly what we need to do today, is try to overcome hatred or feelings of anxiety or feelings of fear, and you can only do it if you are prepared to question your own position. If you can't put in question what we are convinced of, you will never go into dialogue. So you have to be prepared, to be flexible, and to listen to whatever comes to you. Because I can imagine that people where we are going to talk with, or with whom we talk, they have also criticism towards us and towards our society and towards traditions and culture. We know already from a few projects we did with different communities coming from abroad to Belgium. We did some projects on conflict resolution and on identity building and racism and so on. And yeah, the criticism towards us as Belgians was you are not listening to us. You are only demanding. You are demanding. We have to integrate, assimilate. But if you close yourself from dialogue with us, it's impossible to integrate.
Is it possible a dialogue between civilized people and barbarians? So if somebody publish cartoons on Muhammad, and it's a part of freedom of expression, freedom of speech in liberal Europe, and this right written in law, and they can publish such pictures. Why do you really think that they provoked barbarians?
The cartoons?
Yes. Or offended they?
Well, I think there is an offense, but I don't know if the cartoonists, I don't know if they had the intention to really hurt, although it is difficult to believe they didn't know it would not hurt anyone. I can imagine they would know that
yes.
they could hurt people.
Yes.
But
And I also think that, of course, there is the freedom of expression, but there is also the right to human dignity. So there is a tension between all people have the right to dignity, and all people have the freedom to express themselves. And this is one of the tensions in the Declaration for Human Rights with which people have to deal with. If you have a dignity and I have a freedom of expression, then I have to think, am I not violating this person's right to his or her dignity? And is it really an obstacle for my freedom of expression?
So people who kill Islamists, who killed a journalist, cartoonist, and violated human rights, women's rights, have dignity. So, and
no, but I think
we have to respect their barbarian beliefs.
no, I think that it should be the original question was on Islamophobia in Europe. I think for the extremists, I think there's a long treatment ahead in some psychiatric institution, and that's how you have to deal with them. I mean, these are the extremists who want to commit violence, who want to kill people. Go in dialogue with them. I mean, if you are to such an extent, I think there might be very good programs for a long term in psychiatric institution. They have clearly something happening in their head which is not. It's going over the edge. I mean, what we're talking about Islamophobia is that it's like perceived that all Muslims have like this thing in their head which is psychiatric, which is not at all the case. I mean, these are extremists who have something that is not our reach even to try to understand that. I mean, you can understand the basis, which is a fundamental belief which takes up whole your belief system. Like this part you can understand, but for the rest, I mean, they have to go in treatments, like be in prison and and then see what's possible if they can be treated or not. But what we're talking about also is the whole polarization within European society, they represent a whole community of hundreds of millions, 1.5 billion actually, Muslims in the world. I mean, I don't think they represent them at all. They might say they represent them, but I don't think they represent them at all. So what I'm concerned is in our society is how this presentation is made. Like all of these have the potential to be, I don't know another better word, to be wackos. I mean, how would you describe them otherwise? So of course you have to block these and see what measures you can, purely security measures that you can bring into case to protect us from these attacks. But then there's a whole other community who is now, and I think which would raise another topic, how much difference how do we deal with differences in our society? And this is a whole other topic. For me this has nothing, it's being linked to one another now in the discussion, but for me these are two different discussions. And it's a hard discussion also, how do we deal with difference in our society, like Annemarie said, like the other will be always different than us, always. And how do we deal with that? What does integration mean? What does it mean? And like there's a big discussion about it. Integration can mean tons of stuff. It's like it's not something that they also say if you have a job you can be it's a part of being integrated in society. I think it's very true that it's part of being integrated, but like it seems like always this integration is like culturally purely, while I think it's also a lot of other aspects that integrations has to be on different.
Integration means accept the value of human life.
Of course,
human being, not ideology, but human life.
Yes,
first.
Who would not agree with that?
Yes,
that's always what I'm wondering. It seems like there's now movement standing up against Islam, and they say we don't want these attacks here in Europe. Yeah, but who wants that? Nobody wants it. This is a non-issue. Everybody wants these attacks to be stopped. 99% of the people, except those extreme crazy people, all the rest. It's a non-political discussion. It's a security issue. This, and of course you have to try to work with the people before they turn that way. You can work. There's programs that you can start up to actually work to prevent these. But as soon as they are these 1% of or even less, this is not a political. Nobody wants that. This is not an interest. I mean, it's not even a political discussion for me. The political discussion is how do you deal with differences, and these are being mixed up, I think.
What is your opinion on that?
Yes, I also think that it's there are a lot of people in our society who are a bit living apart. We are a bit living apart together, and I wouldn't say that it's good or bad. It's just that if some people feel bad about it, then it's not good. But there are also a lot of people who don't mind living the way we are living in our multicultural society. People want more intercultural, others don't want that, and I think it's up to everybody to make up its mind. But if there are people who are not feeling at ease with the situation as it is, for example, people who are afraid coming out on the streets because they are afraid of a confrontation with someone, of course that we should do something about that. If people don't find a job because they have a funny name, I think we should do something about it. If children at school are never invited because they are from Africa, for example, I think, and they don't feel good about it, then we should do something about it. But I think it's difficult to generalize and to have, because of course I think it's normal that it happens, generalized programs, but generalized programs are only good for a part of society, but not for everybody, and that's why we have a lot of people in our society who are somewhere. They are not linked to any organization or linked to any club or linked to, they are here and they live their lives separate from others. And some people really want them to be put into our organizational life as we know it, but I think, yeah, as long as there is no violence coming out of it, I think people should have the liberty to choose the way they want to live, not damaging each other. I think that the limit is damage. Once you damage something or you hurt someone, then there is a need for mediation or conflict resolution or education.
And it seems a lot in these discussions on difference, that a difference means that a difference cannot exist, that it means that you have to give up a part of you. If you don't agree with the other person, it seems like you have to give a part of you, because while in most cases both of the opinions can be there, it's not an or, and a lot of times a conflict is not an or, it can be an and.
But how can you explain Muslim people that other people can mock on Prophet or can criticize their religion, and it's their basic fundamental right? How can you explain them? How can you urge?
I think freedom of speech is a freedom, and it's not an obligation. If you have to do some stuff, it's weird. Like it seems now you have to mock the Prophet. It should be possible, and everybody, yes, let's do that. For me, it sounds like an obligation. It's my freedom to not do it, to not show it. So, I'm.
Not obligation, freedom, yes, freedom. No?
Yes, but it seems like an obligation now. We should show it that we can. It's to prove our freedom. If you have to prove, if you have to do something, it doesn't. I don't hear it. I don't hear the word freedom in these sentences. It seems like you have to do it to show that we can. It's for me. It's very, very weird as a discussion. I think we should. Yeah.
I also think it should be possible that if there is a freedom, that you can say, I'm not using it because I might damage something or I might hurt someone. It's of course, I think in many European societies this ideal of freedom goes very high and is very spread in our minds. If it is possible to do something, we really have to do it because we got this freedom. Doesn't matter in what field of work or hobbies or on the street. If I'm allowed to do this, I will do it, even if I don't need it. And not thinking of what it might cause to other people. I think it's a bit the limits we've reached of our the liberal way of thinking, and of course it's an achievement also. We achieved this freedom, but I think it's important, like we heard last week, one of professors who spoke here in this house last week. We have the three ideals of French Revolution: freedom, equality and fraternity. And he was very much pleading to give priority to fraternity, the solidarity. Why do we always place liberty in the first place and not the solidarity or not the fraternity? Because it's only in fraternity with each other that we can enjoy the liberty.
But solidarity
it's not despite of the fraternity.
In what field? And
any field.
Violation some gay rights or women rights?
No.
I think it doesn't.
Why would that be a question? Why in this discussion?
Because religion is limit people, limit freedom.
But there's again with this the right to say something is not should not be an obligation. You would not change the right in the constitution. You would not change the right should be there. If there is a right here for gay marriage, etc., the law is clear, and the law should be clear. Freedom of speech should be clear in the law. No discussion.
No.
But to have the law protected that and to do something, I mean, as a human, you can also choose not to do it. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think the law should be clear, freedom of speech always.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that it's like what I said earlier. It's like bullying in schools. I mean, yes, the bully has freedom of speech. Like, why? It's completely absurd. You would say that this bully has freedom of speech to bully another person. No, he doesn't. I mean, yes, technically it's freedom of speech. If the bully would say, "I have the right to bully this other kids," it's my freedom of speech. I mean, I think most parents would disagree that he has this right to bully another person. So I don't know. There's human limits, let's say.
Yes, but we have concrete situation with Charlie Hebdo,
Yeah.
and journalists were killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
And there are no many Muslims condemned this
There's tons of them.
terroristic attack, and maybe to show their support and solidarity with journalists.
Mm-hmm. But they do, huh?
They
Yes.
do. Big institutions. One of the largest universities in Cairo, theological universities, condemned it. Like the spiritual leaders are condemning it. So it's not really. I mean, it's them who are not condemning. Then this is the people you can work with, actually.
Yes, but in Russia, in Grozny, 1 million people on the streets to tell that they love Prophet
Yes.
Muhammad, and that's all.
Well,
That's freedom of speech. That's what we want, no?
but that's not
That's their
In-
freedom.
in
They take
such-
this. They
it's
show
not a
their freedom
problem
of speech. Yeah.
to love the Prophet.
Yeah, there's no
Muhammad,
problem
as
with
we
that.
as we would go on the streets and say we love Jesus. It's possible, of course. In Grozny, you have a dictatorial regime,
Yeah.
so this 1 million people wouldn't be there if there wouldn't be Mr. Ramzan Kadyrov.
Absolutely.
That's that's another point. But I'm more than happy that Muslims love their Prophet. It would be strange if Christians would stop love Jesus Christ, and it would be strange if Muslims stop loving their Prophet Muhammad. I think it's that's normal. It wouldn't be normal if it would be a provocation, or if it would
Turn into violence.
turn into violence, if it would violate something. But as such, spreading the message, it would be worse if they would say, "I love the killers. I love Sharif and what's his other name, Kouachi."
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Yes. Brothers
That
Kouachi.
would be a problem.
but they burned churches in Nigeria, the flags, and
You mean the Boko Haram?
yeah.
But that's, I think,
That's
a
again
category of
But
psychiatric
and even
patients.
if yes, but I and maybe it's more widespread than Boko Haram. I agree, but Muslim mosques are being attacked in France. I mean, it's not something particularly Muslim that
No.
they attack. Let's
And
say
also-
religious buildings. French people just did it with mosque in France. So
But in,
I mean, we're not going to be anti
But a lot of is
France
Muslim,
now. I mean,
No, a
doesn't
lot
make
of
any
Muslim
sense.
countries, mosques are attacked, or Muslims are attacked by other Muslims
Yes.
in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Pakistan,
Yes.
Malaysia.
In Sweden, in mosque were signed some
Maybe I have to go
swastika.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the attacks. That's what this is what worrying me is this division within society, this big polarization now. That yes, of course you have to attack, condemn. Sorry, the attacks, and of course you have to condemn beliefs if they go against religious belief, if they go against certain human rights. Of course, this is obvious. I mean, it's so obvious that it's in a Western society, it's a non-debate. Actually, it's everybody agrees on that. It's the conclusion that it's drawn from these, that it seems like there is a whole community that has a problem, which I completely disagree with. There is no one unified. I mean, it would mean the Western values. Maybe they are some, but if I hear some people talk that are also Westerns, I think I have different beliefs than them, and we both consider ourselves Belgian Westerns. But I don't want them representing me, and probably they don't want me representing them, although we are both, let's say, raised Catholic, living in Belgium. Like, so I guess it's the same for the community of Muslims that people saying, yeah, he cannot represent me, and probably I cannot represent him. This is how it is, I guess.
Okay, the issue is violence is absolutely prohibited. Yes. Yes.
Also structure of violence.
Structure.
System violence is also prohibited.
System. What do you mean?
Racism, not be able to have a job, etc. Not having opportunities in society. These are also human rights.
Do you think that journalist from Charlie Hebdo is guilty?
Of course not.
No.
Of course not.
Guilty, yeah. And it's difficult, of course, to say guilty or not guilty, because what the means of this journal is satirical. They make satirical articles.
Pictures.
Yeah. So
No,
it's not guilty or not guilty, I think. And anyway, of course, not any expression could lead to killing. I mean, it's not allowed. we don't agree that killing is a solution for being offended. If somebody is offended, then you will have to talk about it and not prepare yourself during several years in killing.
Yes, but dialogue it's impossible. So they.
Maybe you don't know, huh? Did Sharif ever try to contact one of the cartoonists?
Yes,
And
some
talk?
Islamists called them and asked to stop.
Oh, but that's not
Publish
a dialogue,
that
that's an
cartoons.
order.
Yeah.
It's not a dialogue. Dialogue, you have to be prepared to listen and to, if necessary, or to change your opinion. You have to be prepared to listen to other arguments, and you have to be prepared that you might be wrong, or you misunderstood something. Just calling a publishing house and say stop publishing, that's not really a dialogue, I think. And also, I mean, maybe the people answering the phone, I don't know what they said, but maybe they could have said, come and have a cup of tea and we'll talk about it. I don't know, if maybe they didn't suggest.
Have you ever tried to organize such debates, such discussions between Muslim people and maybe some journalists or
Well,
people
not on this topic
yeah.
yet, but on other topics.
But what do you
yes.
mean? You mean the Muslims in general, or
Yeah.
these extremists?
No, in general.
Yes, we
In
have.
general,
we
yes,
have-
but I also think it's they're also very active in media in general. I mean,
So they
don't
accept cartoons on Muhammad.
Maybe not,
Mm.
because in our newspapers, a lot of journalists went to the streets and schools and everywhere to ask Muslims about their opinions, and as he said, if you ask 20 Muslims, you get maybe 10 the same answers and 10 different answers. So it's not that you can put all Muslims in one big basket and they all think the same way. Of course not. And we have also had different dialogue projects with Muslims, non-Muslims, and we have been discussing these issues of identity, dignity, human rights, racism. Yes, of course. And in the end, as he says, values are usually the same for everybody. Only the hierarchy in values differ.
Yeah, because I think it's for like even for cartoonists, it's like of course it's their right, but I think it's very unchallenging of them to do like the thing that they already know is going to provoke. It would be much more interesting to laugh with aspects of the Islam or something, not representing the Prophet, because you know already the Prophet. It's like to have like more subtle. You can laugh with the Islam, but they have a gigantic issue with that you represent, you draw the Prophet. So why not try something less like to provoke them in other ways, but more like laugh at them in other ways? I mean, there's tons of moments. Why would you pick that? I don't understand why you do it, but it might be much more interesting to have a different cartoon or another aspect than specifically this drawing. So it's all unchallenging.
They had another cartoons too on politicians and Christians and Jesus Christ, etc. But can Muslim people aware that the freedom of religion they have in European society the same value as a freedom of expression, as a freedom of speech, and can they aware that they have to they have to think about coexistence in pluralistic community world.
But that's what the majority does. I mean, as a matter, I always think every day it's a miracle that not more violence happens, because we are hurting each other minute after minute. I mean, not me hurting a Muslim, perhaps also, but people in general are doing each other wrong all the time. People feel oppressed, feel neglected, feel mistrusted, feel whatever, and so if these emotions every time would lead to a killing, there would be a lot more killing. So it's actually, I mean, I still think it's quite exceptional that not more lethal violence is happening. If we see how, even in our free society, how many people are suppressed due to this systematic violence because of all these obstacles and hatred and mistrust, etc. towards each other. But luckily, we have a way, we have a kind of flexibility to deal with these frustrations, and we don't kill each other for it, the big majority. And it are indeed, as he said, exceptional people who at the point can't cope with this kind of frustrations and stress and go mad and are not able and capable anymore of normal rational dialogue. They go into these extremist streams. But the majority doesn't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's also
when you
something I think of.
what you say on coexistence, yes, but is it so? Let's say coexistence. It means that you were with two, and me being represented then in this discussion as the non-Muslim. Let's say, for me, like it's showing like this cartoon. This is my most important discussion I want to bring to the discussion of living together. Dear God, this is not the most important thing I have to defend in a discussion on coexistence. For me, it's like he mentioned it in the new director of Charlie Hebdo mentioned it. It's our proof of our democracy. I'm sorry, people, but this cartoon does not represent my democracy. I mean, there's tons of stuff that represents me, but it's not this cartoon.
Why not? Why not? Try to publish such cartoons in Saudi Arabia. It's impossible. It's this existence of these cartoons and a magazine
yes, but it's not
proves that democracy exists in Europe.
Well, if I can choose between equality of all men and women on all levels or this cartoon, I know what I'm going to fight for. It's not this cartoon, it's equality for all men and women. And okay, also in Saudi Arabia this will cause a problem. So
yes.
I would prefer this as my symbol than this as my symbol.
To express themselves,
why would we make a
their
fuss
attitude to religion, to...
but they're right. It's our,
because
we
for journalists, beliefs is just idea, and they can criticize this idea and mock on
but it's not just
this
an
idea.
It's part of the identity.
Yeah, it's part of their identity.
Okay.
It's like
it's our belief.
If I would be suppressed in my Catholicism, I don't know what I would do. Now we are more or less in a pluralistic society, although Christians are still seen as a bit naive, strange people, because you live in a kind of a slavery or drug. It's a kind of a drug religion. But if the oppression would be more, maybe I would grab this part of my identity to strengthen it and to say, despite everything what you say, I'm a Catholic and I'm going to show it. But I don't need it at the moment. But maybe if somebody would attack me and think I'm stupid because I'm Catholic, I would say, no, I'm not stupid, because this is what I believe, and this is a part of my fundament.
And that's
part of my identity.
But why do you care what other people think about
because I want them to
Catholicism?
Respect me. I want, of course, I'm a human. I want people to respect me. That's the fraternity. It goes both ways. I want to be respected by others,
people can
And
respect you, but disagree with your with the
Yes,
beliefs.
yes,
Of course.
that's what we say. We
Yeah,
might
so I don't see
disagree,
the-
but we still respect the difference. I disagree also with some things our own church is propagating, but our luckily we live in a society and in a part of the world where it is possible to go over the boundaries of what is written in the Bible and.
Oh yes, but
But that's also a big discussion because there are radical Christians who would say, I'm not a Christian.
yes,
Like there are Muslims who say to other Muslims, you're not a Muslim.
yes, but a lot of people know about wrong sides of any religion, including Catholicism, like. In Inquisition, yes, religion was Christ
Illusion,
March and pedophile scandals and why and etc. etc. Why
It's also a good
don't they
idea.
have right to mock on it or criticize it?
Yes.
But they can mock, but maybe if I will see everyday cartoons of God or Jesus being mocked at some point I might say, why do you always need to mock God or mock Jesus Christ? Mock something.
But and I
Else
even
or-
but I even wonder if it's why do they I think tons of cartoons are being made by Muslims. It's only the problem if you show the Prophet. It's not about that you mock the religion. I mean, there's how do you call it? Stand-up comedians here. Muslim stand-up comedians mocking with their community, mocking with Muslims. This is not a problem. You can mock the religion. You just don't show the Prophet. That's the issue. That's the only 2,000 years the Prophet has not been. I mean, in the church it's not there.
Yes, but this man a prophet only for Muslims, but for other people he is a human being and just human being.
Yes, of course.
And they
But by now you know it. You know it that it will cause harm. You know it now.
Yeah.
Now it's clear, I guess, that we know that it's
Hurting some.
that
at
it's
least,
hurting
the
people.
part
Now we
of-
know that. So as rational beings, maybe we can think, oh, let's not draw it then. Let's not show it then. I mean, and try to mock them in different ways
If we want to.
if we want to mock
Yeah.
them.
yes, but
It's a question also,
yes,
huh?
but
Why?
Giordano Bruno, who was killed too, did he offended? Did he offend a religion?
One of the persons who was killed.
Giordano Bruno
Mhm.
or some other scientist?
But we are very clear.
Okay.
Nobody should be killed, or even
This is
or being attacked in any way. Of course not.
Nobody is. that's my point. This is
Yeah.
weird having a talk about what do you think, because nobody, I mean, who is for killing people? I mean, this is a very small percentage of the people who are for that, and it's like, so you think it's much more interesting. How do we live? How do we
now? Yeah.
what do we do now, and how do we coexist? I think there's already tons of conflicts there that might be like, what is the tension here? What is it? I'm sure it's not the only right. Like there's other tensions as well, like on the showing of religious symbols in certain places. Do we show them? Do we don't? Is it okay that they show them? Is it not okay that we show them? I think there's already tons of other conflicts that we should not talk about as extremist. Of course, nobody has the right to kill another person. Like it's
No.
so obvious that it seems like everybody wants to say now, I'm against it. Yes, but yes, I hope. I mean, it would be weird not to. So I don't see as a.
But what the
It's already 4 o'clock.
okay
So
we
you have to go to the fitness.
yes okay My last question, 5 minutes, okay? What the
You will cut this out.
consequences of terroristic attack? That's
That's
issues of Charlie Hebdo raised 3 or more millions copies. Raise of Islamophobia. Supporting reprinting cartoons from Charlie Hebdo in other newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
So
Protests all over the world. In
protests
Muslim world,
over the
and,
yes.
yeah.
Je suis Charlie.
Je suis Ahmed.
yeah.
Je suis.
Yes.
Well, I hope he will react better than the last president who had an attack on him and his country. I think part of it is also like the last time we had there was London, there was Madrid, but the last reaction that a Western country had, let's say the States with 9/11, was very much violent. I mean, they literally started wars. So I don't think this is the way to go. Again, react with violence to violence. It seems like the stupidest thing to do, actually. So it's about
some people plea for the way Norway reacted to the killing Andreas Breivik did, in his extremist views against people from different origins. So he is, let's say, on the other side. I think that would be interesting case to study, because I read it in the newspaper that in Norway that there are programs of bringing more solidarity, more interconnectedness between people, more dialogue, more cooperation, and so on. The things we as Pax Christi promote.
Yes, and more freedom. And people would like to live in a world without fear,
yes,
without manipulation, and to feel free to express themselves and talk freely about everything, not without fear to be killed or punished or beaten.
Yeah.
No, it's the idea of democracy, to be free and to live without fear.
But not only freedom. Freedom can't be a fetishism.
Absolutely.
I really think that the human rights are always a balance, but it should be an exercise for all of us, balancing. I have my right to life, I have my right to dignity, I have my right not to be tortured,
Absolutely.
I have my right to medical care, and so on and so on. But he has it and you have it, and everybody in our societies have these rights and freedoms. So it's always balancing, where does my right end and starts the freedom of the other. That's the difficulty of this declaration of human rights.
And these rights guarantee you in a Western Europe, because other rights exist. And that's a freedom of expression.
My freedom of expression should not lead to your death, for example, or not lead to ignoring your right to human dignity.
But imagine like if it would be total freedom. Imagine you would say in any conversation with any person what you really wanted to say. Like, you would not have a social life. I mean, it's we auto censor. How do you say?
We censor.
We censor ourselves constantly. This is life. Like, you do not always say everything to the bitter end. It's weird to do it. Even it's like it's not human even. Like, of course there should be law, freedom of speech, and as soon as the government starts limiting it, everybody should be on the street and make sure it changes again. That's obvious.
And change life in autocratic way.
It's only there if you don't propagate violence. Huh? Yeah. I think that there are limits to everything, but I think it's it's the paradox of freedom, huh? As we were learned in school even. The more rules there are, the more freedom you have.
Yeah.
That's a paradox, but it's true because you know what you might expect. It's my responsibility. If I don't respect something, then I can, of course, and I again, because you seem to think that we agree that these people were killed. Of course not, but the idea is, of course, that if you don't agree with something, then you have to express it in a respectful way, in a possibility that the other can react in a kind of a dialogue, or I don't know how, but there are always means to try to come to a solution or a compromise, not by shouting to each other or or even worse.
Compromise with Islamists.
Well, I don't know, but still.
No, but
in fact, everybody was born with dignity. We can't ignore the fact that every born person has this right to dignity and has this dignity, and of course it's up to everybody to do something to keep the dignity.
But dignity and follows dogmas, and
well, that's up to every person, as long as the dogma doesn't make you hurt someone else. It's not because I'm white,
of course,
that I am more worse than somebody who's not white. For example, that's it.
I think solution may be that people could not monk on that things which cannot change, like skin color or sexual orientation, yes, or sex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but religion beliefs can change.
So I'm not going to become
people
a Buddhist
convert,
tomorrow.
but other people can be convert from Judaism to Orthodox, and to atheist,
of course it's possible, but it's not something we should demand or expect like that to happen. I also remember somebody sent in on Facebook this cartoon of the Ku Klux Klan, and also wrote, we Christians never apologized or took a distance from this movement, for example, because we all know that people we all think that these are not, these people are criminals.
Yeah.
We don't have to take a position or take stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay. Thank you so much for this interesting discussion.
Conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for interviewing us.